When you replace the sound of raving engines, bleating sirens, and roaring motorcycles on busy city roads with an almost perfectly quiet country atmosphere, so quiet you can almost hear the rhythm of your own heartbeat, you spread your arms, let your spirit soar, and dare to dream. Like an eagle flying at high altitudes, neither the wind nor gravity can stand in your way. There can only be one word to describe that experience.
Willpower.
Another word to describe what you are.
A visionary.
And yet another to describe what will become of you.
Transformed.
Ladies and gentlemen, as Enactus Durban University of Technology, we got a glimpse of this everyday reality experienced by Philani Ngobo, a rising entrepreneur who, despite being faced by numerous challenges in his community, has set a phenomenal precedent of what it truly means to soar up and defy the odds.
Approximately 115 kilometers north of Durban lies a rural community called Noordsburg, so marginalized to the extent that you can arrive at this community using a map. This community falls under the Ndwedwe municipality, but to date, its IDP reads, open quote, there is a need to develop a local economic development plan for the area of Noordsburg, close quote. A baseline assessment and a needs analysis conducted by the team revealed that over 75% of the community members in Noordsburg rely on subsistence farming for a livelihood.
It is true that subsistence farming is an indispensable livelihood in the rural communities of South Africa, including Noordsburg, contributing 10% to the overall GDP. However, with the ever-changing climates and weather patterns, the feasibility of subsistence farming is being threatened, and so is food security. Often this climate change disrupts rainfall patterns, thus causing droughts and even distribution of pests and diseases. In the face of all these obstacles, subsistence farmers are left with little to no choice and end up using vast amounts of groundwater for irrigation. They often have to resort to the extensive use of fertilizers for plant nutrition and pesticides to eradicate pests.
All these efforts directed at sustaining their crop yield impacts negatively on the environment. Never mind the fact that most people living in the rural areas like Noordsburg can hardly afford pesticides and fertilizers. In addition, the farmers resort to planting seasonal crops, yet the market demand for such crops prevails all year round. Evidently, this creates a disequilibrium in the market for fresh produce. In light of these findings, a holistic approach was adopted to identify, isolate, and critically analyze the problem faced in this community.
The first step taken to achieve this was to identify the livelihood assets within the area of Noordsburg that would enable Philani to grow vegetables all year round. The identified livelihood assets include 2 hectares of land owned by Philani, soft skills in agriculture, business skills, and access to water. He also possessed a good relationship with the members of his community, particularly those that subscribe to the local farmers' union. He also, in consideration of the identified challenges and the available livelihood assets, the team, together with Philani, agreed to explore the innovative agricultural concept of aquaponics.
Aquaponics is a collaborative method of growing plants and farming fish simultaneously. The waste from the fish supplies nutrients to the plants that are grown hydroponically, which in turn purifies the water. In comparison to the conventional method of farming, the aquaponic system is more efficient as it reduces the maturation time by over 30%. Moreover, the plants grown within the aquaponic system are organic, pest-resistant, and do not require any weeding. With the understanding that every successful business is dependent upon a sound business model, we adopted a tailor-made canvas model. The key elements considered in this business model include value propositions, key resources, and customer segmentations. The value that this business would bring to the community is convenient all-year-round access to fresh produce, locally available at a relatively affordable price. Furthermore, tilapia fish, a cheaper protein source, and a brain food would be availed to the community. Direct marketing strategies would be used to access various customer segmentations. Once the business model was put in place, we developed an action plan that can be used as a guideline in implementing the aquaponics project.
In the first phase of our intervention, a greenhouse was built for the purpose of providing shelter for the aquaponic systems. Once the greenhouse was completed, Philani and the team, in consultation with an aquaponics expert Richard, assembled 3 aquaponic structures. While the structures were being constructed, basic training on how to operate and maintain them was provided to both Philani and the team. To reinforce and enhance Philani's expertise in the field of aquaponics, the team arranged a transitional aquaponics workshop conducted by aquaponics pioneers.
With the construction of the systems finalized and Philani empowered with the relevant skills, the next phase of the project involved placing growth mediums into the system to allow for the development of an ecosystem. After a period of 3 weeks, the first batch of tilapia fingerlings were introduced into the fish tanks to provide nutrients to the plants. Some of the plants are supported by floating beds, while others are supported by clay balls. Each system carries an average of 66 plants, while each fish tank has the capacity to carry 300 fish.
In order to utilize the remaining space in the greenhouse, at the same time affording an opportunity for plants that do not thrive outside the greenhouse to flourish, Philani placed recycled drum in which he planted tomatoes. In addition, vertical and auxiliary beds were placed in the greenhouse, and more vegetables were planted. Through our intervention, we have empowered Philani with basic and comprehensive aquaponics management skills. He also received 7 hours of business coaching, thus enhancing his business acumen. An improvement in his business performance is the indication of the effectiveness of skills training that he received. By growing fresh produce available all year round, this project is contributing towards nutrition security in the area of Nutsberg, thus addressing sustainable development goals number 1, 2, and 3. Furthermore, aquaponics uses 80% less water compared to traditional farming, thus addressing sustainable development goal number 12.
This project has adhered to the triple bottom line sustainability. In the first harvest, Philani generated a profit of 8,545 rands from selling his produce. In addition, farmers have saved on transport money that they would have otherwise used to go to the nearest markets. Philani has also provided work for two workers in the community. Socially, Philani has introduced an innovative method of farming to the community. Thus, most community members, especially those that subscribe to the Farmers Union, now look up to Philani for inspiration. Furthermore, he is also keen on teaching his fellow farmers innovative and alternative methods of farming. Now more farmers are confident to explore new avenues in increasing productivity on their farm, thus addressing sustainable development goals number 1 and 2. In due consideration of the environment, all crops grown in the greenhouse use organic fertilizers, thus reducing the ecological footprints and addressing sustainable development goal number 13.
Ladies and gentlemen, providing fresh produce to his community all year round was merely a dream to Philani. But today, through our intervention, this dream is being unleashed before his eyes.
While collecting used soap and linen to recycle from one of our partner hotels, we noticed that there was a lot of waste food being discarded. An idea to repurpose waste food was a result of this realization. When we investigated more on waste food, we were shocked to discover that hotels and eateries contribute 34% of the total food waste in South Africa. Initially, we had no idea of how to transform this waste into something of value. But to remember that Philani, our beneficiary for aquaponics, had a pig rearing project, and one of the challenges he was faced with was that of expensive pig feed. In a bid to reduce waste food, at the same time decreasing the cost of the pig feed, the team extended its involvement into Philani's piggery business.
But one might ask, why invest so much in one beneficiary? Is it not impulsive to put all eggs in one basket? Well, allow us to motivate our choice of action.
Ladies and gentlemen, Philani has a proven track record of creating value out of every opportunity presented to him. We learned through Car's newsletter that he participated in an initiative that was aimed at empowering emerging entrepreneurs. His project proposal impressed the hosts, resulting in him being granted a loan that he has since paid back in full. In addition, Philani is passionate about capacity building through effective empowerment, that he has taken up an initiative that sees him sharing his best practices with 25 other members of his community.
A baseline needs assessment conducted in the area revealed that there are approximately 4 pig farmers in the area of Nutsberg that breed pigs for sale to local retail stores and restaurants. Despite a lucrative market for pork, they could not meet the customer demands due to prohibitive cost of pig feed required in the pig farming business. In addition, the cost burden resulted in low profit margins being realized, thus impacting negatively on their business performance. In light of these challenges, we decided to supplement the feed for Pilani's breeding pigs with waste food collected from local hotels and eateries.
In order to determine the feasibility of using waste food as pig feed, a thorough investigation was conducted. The findings from our investigation revealed that waste food can indeed be fed to pigs, but with limitations. Waste food can compromise the quality of pork. Therefore, it can only be fed to breeding pigs that are not intended for slaughter. Based on the physiology of pigs, from the waste collected, they are able to digest fruit, vegetables, and bread without any detrimental effects to their health. The remainder of the waste is then mixed with pig manure to form an organic fertilizer.
Ideas not coupled with action never become bigger than the brain cells they occupied. To implement our idea, the first step taken was to approach hotels in and around Pietermaritzburg, as it is closer to Noordburg, hence making it financially viable to collect food waste on a consumer's basis. Through our intervention, so far, the Memorandum of Understanding for the provision of food waste has been secured with Residence Hotel. So far, through our intervention, Pilani identified a fellow farmer, a fellow student in need from UNISA, and collaborated with him for the collection of food waste that he would in need collect from him on a weekly basis. Let us hear from the General Manager at Redlands Hotel.
Thanks, Paul. I'm General Manager at Redlands Hotel. We're based just on the outskirts of Maritzburg. We have a fair amount of waste from our kitchen, and from a health and safety point of view, we've got to be very careful with how we dispose of it. We don't want it being put out where people can get access to it and then you have food poisoning or something like that. So we've always been very, very careful, and we do support a local AIDS orphanage where we can. But a lot of what we used could be put back into a community-based function, like it's Enactus, and we believe that there's a local pig farmer who could benefit from our support, and that's what we're hoping to try and achieve. So cut down on what our waste is, cut down on what's been put back into landfill sites, and hopefully get something back into the community which has a long-term benefit.
Once the waste food gets to Pilani's farm, vegetables, fruits, and bread are fed to the breeding pigs. The remainder of the waste food is not discarded. Rather, it is mixed with pig manure and utilized as an organic fertilizer for both conventionally grown crops and those grown within the greenhouse. The huge cost of pig feed had been a major obstacle to the expansion of the piggery project. Now armed with an alternative way of supplementing the pig feed, we knew there was a need to expand and build additional pigsties that can accommodate more pigs. The team, together with Pilani, designed and built additional pigsties that can accommodate a maximum of 40 pigs.
I started my project 2 years ago when I got a loan from CAST. I bought 4 sows. The biggest challenge for me has been the high cost of feed. I have gotten hold of Enactus, which have helped me a lot to get the waste feed from the hotels and the restaurants, taken the load of the food costs off me. I've been able to sell like 50 piglets. The waste that I get from the hotels cannot all be used to feed the pigs. I only feed them fruits, vegetables, and bread remains. And the rest I mix with the pig waste or the pig's manure to make the compost, which in turn I use to plant my vegetables with. And they are organic because I don't use any fertilizers. And when I harvest the vegetables that I cannot sell, I feed them back to the pigs again.
Ladies and gentlemen, through this project, we have created an ecosystem and a value chain. It all starts with the collection of waste food from hotels, which is fed to breeding pigs. In turn, pigs produce manure, which is utilized as organic fertilizer for conventionally and greenhouse-grown crops. When these crops are harvested, waste generated in the form of trimmings and shivered leaves are fed back to the pigs. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a true embodiment of environmental sustainability through a holistic approach to enable progress.
On a monthly basis, Through our intervention, an average 300 kgs of waste food is being collected and repurposed. As we secure more hotels to supply waste food, the team will approach the 3 remaining pig farmers and propose that they supplement their pig feed with waste food. This will go a long way in increasing the pig farming capacity of local farmers, thus possibly meeting the demand thereof.
For the sustainability of this project, we have approached our partnering hotels close to Nutsburg to extend their involvement and supply us with waste food from their hotels for this project as well.
Today, we shared 2 stories of lives transformed. Stories that have directly impacted 5 people, indirectly impacting over 1,000 lives.
Generating 132,326 rands within 10 months of our involvement. With such a huge profit generated in such a short space of time, it is definite that the future is bright. We saved Pilani 5,940 rands in pig feed expenses with 1,800 kilograms of waste food collected and repurposed.
Stories of dreams unleashed by
Amanda Mhlongo.
Xolisile Khanyile.
Andile Mnyati,
Minenhle Manana,
Phumlile Chingukela.
Nyasha Busu.
and 67 other active members.
Investing 159,220 hours and traveling over 9,000 kilometers to ensure that this dream turn into reality.
As Enactus Durban University of Technology, we are visionaries possessing the willpower to build dreams, putting marginalized communities on the map, leaving them forever transformed.
My first question is around the financial input to receive that kind of revenue. It's not clear how much was put in to be able to generate that kind of turnover and profit.
If I may get clarity on which project specifically you're talking about?
Well, you speak of 132,000. Which project is that?
That's the aquaponics project, ma'am.
What was the investment?
Okay, for the,
Well, ma'am, aquaponics is a new concept. Basically, the investment in this project was 60,320 rands. Basically, this aquaponics project, it is clear that the vegetables plowed in these projects, they have a very short time turnover in which you can harvest several times within a month.
just to add on to that, the difference that you're seeing in the annual report, it says we generated 103,000, is that correct? And the one that we talked about in the presentation is 132,000. The difference is 28,520 rands, which was generated in the piggery project.
Do we have another question?
Thank you. Very good presentation, team. I just want to understand on your project number 2, you just highlighted how much was saved through the project, but I'm not sure if the profitability for the farmer went up and by how much.
For the piggery project, we mentioned the amount that was saved correct in the annual report. And after our intervention, the profit that they made was 28,510 rands, like I said. So before our intervention, the profit was 10,100 rands, and the difference thereof was what?
And also, ma'am, in our piggery project, one thing we mentioned in our presentation is that we're saving the farmer the cost incurred for pig feeding. So in our first collection, we saved Bapilani 5,420 rands, in which this will enable him to generate more profit than he was earning before.
Okay, I think I've got 3 hands. We'll take the one in the front here, then the gentleman at the back, and then Tantazwa.
Thank you. In a community with very poor resources or low resources, there's always competition for resources and access to finance and so on. How did you navigate the negotiation for Pilani to be your sole beneficiary in both projects? How was the community involved in that decision, and were they consulted?
As mentioned in our project, Pilani is also part of a farmers' union in the community, and there are 25 other members of the community. So, for instance, with the training that he got from CAST in business management, he has also been involved in training other farmers. I hope that answers your question.
And also to add, ma'am, since we mentioned our collaboration with CAST, CAST is basically working with community members of which they recommended us to approach Bob Pilani as they worked with him previously.
Yeah, well done, everybody. Why did you focus on these two projects? I mean, what was the other exposure you were involved with or seen that particularly made these two projects stand out for you?
I would say particularly with the aquaponics project, it was because it's such a new concept in South Africa and it's so innovative, and as a team we felt challenged to actually explore this innovative method of farming, and because it also provides fish, which in this community is such a marginalized community, and a source of protein like that, I believe it helps the community members get a protein source that is good for nutrition and good health.
All right, very quickly, we've only got 15 seconds.
Thank you. Because you've empowered and mentored Pilani, who is mentoring other farmers in the community, have you quantified how much that has helped the farmers and the community as a result of his involvement?
There are two other farmers that who are aware that have also started building a greenhouse in order to grow organic vegetables, being mentored by Pilani.
Okay, I'm sorry, but your time has expired. Judges, please join me in welcome. Thank you.